Good Saturday morning, everyone. Today on Perspectives, how do we make our Gulf Coast beaches safer for our visitors, tourists, and us? Now, just in the last few days, search and rescue crews were busy looking for a missing 14-year-old off of Orange Beach. He was vacationing with his family from Louisiana, and while swimming in the Gulf in rough waters, he apparently got caught in a rip current. His father made a life-risking attempt to grab him and pull him back to shore, but he couldn't hold on. The father was later hospitalized after taking in too much water. A Good Samaritan, also from Louisiana, made an attempt to rescue the 14-year-old. He spotted him, then sprinted into the rough surf, dived in, but he says that the water was just too strong. A year ago, June 6, two Baldwin County Sheriff deputies spotted some swimmers in distress off of Fort Morgan's beach. 3 were rescued and are alive today because of the deputies' heroic actions. Now, tragically, though, one of the veteran deputies lost his life that day in those rough waters. Deputy William Bill Smith was one of 5 people who lost their lives in 2021 along South Alabama's beaches. Gulf Shores Fire and Emergency Services and the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office both say that 5 was 5 too many. The agencies have now developed new safety material and procedures that are targeted to better educate and prepare the beach-going public. Our guest today, Baldwin County Sheriff Huey Hoss Mack, and the Chief of Staff, Gulf Shores Fire and Emergency Services, Melvin Shepard. Beach safety awareness and preparedness, our discussion point this morning on Perspectives. We'll be right back after this quick break. This morning on Perspectives, we're joined by Baldwin County Sheriff Huey Hoss Mack, and we're talking about beach safety this morning. And we had a major, I guess we say, crisis happen when we lost a deputy who was saving lives at the beach. You know, and really, I remember how when we were reporting that, it really got to us because there was Deputy Smith doing what he's loved doing for years, that's helping other folk, and then for him to fall victim after saving folk and giving them another chance on life. In fact, I love the statement that you said that it's unfortunate that Bill Smith died, but we must remember that he and Deputy Wentworth saved 3 lives that day by their actions. Yes, sir. While we lost a deputy, we saved 3 civilians who have a chance of life, a second chance of life right now. What were your feelings that day when you got the report that what was going on down at Fort Morgan? Well, of course, on June the 6th, Bill was on normal patrol down there. He and Deputy Whitworth were down there, and they were just doing the normal patrol. There was a little bit of rough surf that day. They were paying attention to it. And, you know, when I got the call that afternoon, I was at home, and as a law enforcement or any other administrator in public safety, that's the call you never want to get, is that somebody is in distress. And as I said, you know, it was just devastation to begin with. But as I said at that time, and as we remember Bill on the 1-year anniversary, that devastation turned into being so proud of the actions that were taken that day, and really that we've now taken what happened that day and advanced the program. We hope that we never have to enter the water again and conduct another rescue, but I feel that today we're more prepared than ever. You know, when you look at Deputy Smith's record, he was a man who was all about serving his community. Yes, sir. Talk a little bit about him, because we're talking about a man who served as a sheriff deputy in Calhoun County, as well as a firefighter for 30 years, yes, almost sir. 30. He was actually, he was a battalion chief in DeKalb County, Georgia. Oh, okay. That was his full-time job as a professional firefighter. What a lot of people didn't know is why Bill was also doing that. He was a volunteer fire chief at a small fire department in Alabama. And when Bill finished his tenure and retired as a fire chief, he wanted to go back to work in public service, and he went to work for the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. And one day, about the time that Bill was going to apply with us, the sheriff of Calhoun
Calhoun County, Larry Amerson, who was one of my mentors for many years. He called me up and he said, Hoss, he said, I want to let you know something. He said, I make this call with a little hesitancy but with full confidence, and he said, this guy's going to apply, you need to hire him. And we did. And from that point on, Bill and I had very similar careers. We were the same age, and I just enjoyed being around him, and as you said, he was a true public servant.
When you look at the events that happened that day, what led to the situation where he and Deputy Wentworth had to go in and perform the rescue?
Well, as often happens, there were some swimmers that were in the water. They did not understand that there was a rip current that was going in the area, and some observation from the beach saw that these people were in distress, and so an actual civilian also went in the water. And so what we actually had was two different situations going on by the time that Bill got there. And so, in fact, Bill actually started to go towards who he thought was the person that was in most distress, and ended up then going to the person who had actually entered the water to try to assist, who ended up being the one that was actually in most distress. And particularly in that area, and people don't realize, but I equate the Gulf of Mexico as kind of like a wild animal. It may not always look one way, but it may act another. And so even though it was turbulent that day, you can't necessarily see a rip current. And when Bill entered the water that day and was going, there was an obvious rip current. He did successfully rescue the individual that he was going to assist, but in that process he got caught up in the turbulent turf. And what the investigation revealed is that essentially it rolled him down to the bottom, and he was not able to survive that.
My goodness, I can remember that happening to me once overseas out in the Atlantic, and that's a just unbelievable feeling when that happens to you.
Swimming in the Gulf of Mexico is not like swimming in your pool.
That's right.
It's a lot different, and particularly in that area, in the Fort Morgan area, because of the entrance into Mobile Bay, the transition of the water, the transition of the tides, it does tend to be a little bit more turbulent area.
Well, let's talk about some of the things now that you have put in place since the passing of Deputy Smith that is a part now of you making sure that things are safe for people out swimming in the Baldwin County area. Yes,
sir. So we have put together what I call a great coalition. Of course, the cities of Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, who have already had a lot of processes on their beaches, have both assisted us not only with training but in advisement. We've worked with our local EMA, have developed an app that people can go to. They can download this app. They can get daily notices about the surf, whether it's a yellow flag, a red flag, or a purple flag. We've added that into our weather alert system where you can be notified of pending thunderstorms, things of that nature. We've stepped up our patrols actually on the beach so that they are on the beach. We've developed a flyer that we're actually handing out to each of the people that are on that portion of the beach that we cover, that covers everything I just talked about, and explains what a rip current is, and explains some of the things that people really need to realize, that if they are going to swim in the Gulf, that they need to take certain precautions, and just by taking these precautions they can maintain safety.
Is it a situation where we have visitors mostly getting affected by this, or some of our local folk too? But we know we have a lot of vacationers that come in, and you just don't know about an area other than when you see the beautiful beach and the beautiful water, and you're trying to take advantage of that.
You're exactly right. A lot of people, they are vacationers. For a lot of people, it is their first time visiting. They come down, and the first instinct when they drive up on that beach is to get out of the car, throw the things in the condo, and hit the beach. They want to run towards the water, and that's really what we're saying. Just pause a minute, learn about the system, learn about the different flags, learn about the different notices, and be cognizant of what you're going to do. And we want everybody to have a great time. That's what the beaches are famous for. Is we're famous for people coming here to our beaches, but we also want them to return home safe.
Where will they be able to get those brochures so they can be acquainted with what they're about to hopefully enjoy only?
So we'll be handing them out on the beach. They can go to the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office website. They can download it there. They can go to the Baldwin County Emergency Management Agency. Also, there's just other apps that they can go to. Another thing they should do is, for instance, here at Channel 10, they may want to download the weather app just to keep on that. And those are just things that they can stay current and be mindful of those things, and that's just going to give them great safety.
Well, I love the fact that you've got Deputy Smith's picture on there showing the servant who definitely wanted to make a difference, and he did.
And he still does today.
That's right.
Yes, he does.
Sheriff Huey Hosmack, we thank you for joining us this morning and sharing that as we're about to enter another beach season, as well as approaching that anniversary of Deputy Smith's death.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're talking beach safety and awareness, and our guest now joining us, Chief Melvin Shepard for the Gulf Shores Fire and Emergency Services. And you've been involved with this kind of thing for years now, known a lot of your effort and time and concern. I mean, you really have taken it to heart over the years about providing safety for both the guests and the local folk on the beaches. And thanks for joining us this morning as we talk about that going into this summer season when you really get the numbers down here at the beach. 2021, what kind of year was that? I know there were a few drownings. What was that like for your office down there?
Well, it was a busy season. A couple of drownings down Fort Morgan. We had a couple of drownings in unguarded areas in our city limits as well. So, when those events happen, it's hard to deal with. And our lifeguards, a lot of times our lifeguards are young adults, 17 to mid-20s, high school and college kids. So, not only do we have to see how that affects the family, we have to see how that affects our staff as well. And some of the young men and women that deal with these, it takes a toll on them.
When you evaluate every year about what has happened, what you're able to accomplish, and what you want to accomplish, where does that start when you start looking at it? Because I know back in the past we've talked about things that you had plans for, and of course it's not always where you can just do it yourself. You've got to bring everybody else to the table.
Yes, sir. It really starts with when we start our budget for the next year. We have to look at, are we adequately guarding our beaches? Are we protecting everybody? What information do we need to get out next year? What is that going to cost? And then we start that process. This year has started off very good. We were able to come into a partnership with the City of Orange Beach, the Coastal Alabama, the CVB, Conventions and Visitors Bureau, and the county. So what that initiative is called is Beach Safe, and we're trying to target not only the residents of our cities, but also especially the people that come to town. A lot of people come here for vacation. They're not aware of the dangers of the Gulf of Mexico, so it's our job to educate them, and it's oftentimes hard to educate them once they're here because, like Hoss Mack said a while ago, when they get here, they just want to get to the beach. But people really do need to take time, understand the surf conditions, understand what the beach warning flags mean, and if you don't know, flag down a lifeguard or a city official and ask.
This is one of the things when we talk about the advantages of having a website and social media, and you really want our visitors to take advantage of that because on there they can go through all of the situations of what they need to be concerned about, how to take precautions, and how to survive rip currents.
Yes, sir. The City of Orange Beach and City of Gulf Shores, they do a really good job as far as social media goes and getting information out there. On our websites, there's information. You can also, in either city, call 968 Surf in Gulf Shores or 981 Surf in Orange Beach to get daily accurate surf conditions. Those messages are changed as surf conditions change.
And of course that is something to watch every day because it's amazing how it can be a beautiful day and you've got rough surf, and then sometimes things might not be the best of conditions, but it might be mild conditions of the surf itself.
Yes, sir. So with that, you could walk out on the beach that morning and have relatively calm surf, but depending on winds and which direction they're coming from, by afternoon it can be really rough. So we really advise people to watch the surf throughout the day, especially if you have small children with you. Understand your swimming limitations. If you're not a strong swimmer, don't venture too far off from shore. If you feel yourself being pulled away from the beach, do not try to swim against the current. wait till you feel like you're no longer being pulled, and then swim left or right away from that. And also, most importantly, face the beach and wave and call for help. Let trained personnel come assist you back to the beach.
Now, you also have videos on your website as well to be a part of this process of informing.
Yes, sir. And we're working on some additional videos as well. There's a lot of public service announcements we've done over the years, educating people about rip current safety, the beach warning flag. So, again, if people are in need, they need to get this information, they can always reach out to the City of Gulf Shores, the City of Orange Beach, and we'd be happy to talk to them. Even groups of people, come talk to groups of people about water safety and the dangers of open water.
Now, you mentioned earlier where people are swimming in areas where you don't have lifeguard protection. How is that working now to get people to say, well, if I'm not a good swimmer, let's not go to this particular area?
You know, a lot of it, from Callaway Pass west in Gulf Shores, it's a lot of residential homes. They're rented to large groups of people throughout the summer, and there's not a lot of beach down there for us to patrol on. So we really can't go over there. We have to respond to those calls. So it really gets into a situation like down Fort Morgan where there's no lifeguards, but a lot of people. People just really need to be aware of what the surf conditions are that day. Call the surf report lines. Sunny 105 plays a report 3 times a day on surf conditions, but also the local media has been a tremendous help over the years with continually doing beach safety pieces, trying to help educate people. So the information's there. You just, when you get on vacation, you really need to take a minute to understand where you're at and what the dangers of the Gulf are.
Now, I'm looking here, you've got those conditions by text, by phone, and online, and as well as getting the weather alerts and warnings by text.
Yes, sir. There's a lot of ways, and another thing we can do through the text messaging with an application with the county is Everbridge. So we can geofence an area. So what we're looking at possibly doing is, we see that the surf builds rapidly and it's really dangerous, then they can go in there and geofence that area and send out text messages to every cell phone in that area. So there are things that we're looking at doing continually to improve the safety of the visitors and the residents of Baldwin County.
When you look at the #1 cause, is it primarily the rip currents being the most deadly, or other things can happen too?
You know, there's a lot of things that play into that. #1's probably swimming ability. A lot of people have a tendency to overestimate their swimming ability. I did the same thing many years ago when I joined the Marine Corps, but rip currents do play a part of that. Other factors as well when you're at the beach. How do we protect people with that? Trying to get the information out there. Hopefully they understand it. And then them saying, okay, it's too rough to go in the water today. On double red flag days when we have to close the water for swimming, we still have to fight with people about why they shouldn't be in the Gulf. And if the lifeguards are telling you it's too rough, please stay out of the water.
You know, I've never really enjoyed swimming at the beach, but just enjoying the water, whereas when I swim, I want to go and be in a pool, you know. So it's always amazed me, folks that go out and take those chances. So, of course, you're expecting another big tourism season this summer, and of course, with the COVID being not as bad, expecting even larger numbers than, say, maybe the last couple of years.
More than likely. I feel confident that we have enough lifeguards. We have about 30 seasonal lifeguards right now. They've been fully trained. This weekend will be kind of a test with Hangout Music Fest, but so far they've done an amazing job on the beach. One of the things we've added to them this year is they're doing surveys to people on the beach, asking, you know, where they're from. It's the first time they've been to the beach, and trying to gauge what knowledge our beachgoers have at this point. So hopefully that will help us tailor messages in the future.
That's a good idea, because you've got to have a good idea of what they know and what they're bringing to the table, so to speak. And I think it's a great situation where you've got the CVB now involved, so hopefully you can get more information on that entrance point when people are first coming.
Well, you know, with Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Fort Morgan, even Dolphin Island, you know, this is not a rip current drowning deaths is not an issue just isolated to us. This is a national thing. And in fact, the CDC did a report back in 2000, 2001 about the effectiveness of professionally trained lifeguards at beaches. So it is something that, as a nation, needs to be promoted as far as beach safety.
That's a good idea. Is there a week for awareness Beach Safety Awareness Week?
Yes, sir. That's next week.
Okay.
May 23rd through the 30th is National Beach Safety Week. So that's something that City of Orange Beach, City of Gulf Shores is pushing out on social media, trying to get people aware of the beach safety aspect of it and putting out information as to what they can do when they're at the beach.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for coming and sharing this morning, and of course, wishing you a safe season this year. And hopefully the tourists coming as well as the local folk will take advantage of all these different ways of getting that information ahead of time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, our very special guest, Chief Melvin Shepard. We thank him for joining us this morning. And of course, staying informed is easy now. Here are two of the important apps at the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office app, which you can scan the QR code, right there on the screen. Also, the Baldwin County EMA has an app as well. Now, both have important ways to get the alerts and information about the beach conditions. And both are free and available from the Apple or Google App Store. Now, you should have one or both of them if you plan on visiting the beach anytime soon. Also, some other ways to get information. You can contact the Coastal Enforcement Unit. That number is there, right there, 251-937-0202. Or you can contact the Gulf Shores Fire and Emergency Services number at 251 as well. And that number is 251-968-9809. Both are great resources. Coming up on Perspectives, ending youth violence. We talked to Mobile Police and members of the Office of Strategic Initiatives. MPD says that it's serious about reducing and ending youth violence in Mobile's communities. The statistics are showing now that an overall increase in gun violence and homicides, so their strategy is to create positive encounters through entertainment and resource-loaded events this summer to help prevent violent crime. The plan is to expose Mobile youth to educational opportunities, employment and job placement opportunities, as well as health, dental, and mental health services. We'll also find out how they want parents and the community to get involved and show their support. We thank you for joining us here on Perspectives. We'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m. I'm Eric Reynolds. Have a great week ahead.
Thanks for watching Fox 10 News. Watch us live wherever you are on our mobile, our streaming news app, and you can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.